Hey guys, it's Christy and welcome back to my channel. Thank you so much for joining me. Today I am so excited because we're going to be testing out the new Anastasia Primrose Palette. So before we get into it, I hope you will consider subscribing to my channel before you leave. Give this video a thumbs up if you enjoy, and let's get into it. Okay guys, so this is their first, aside from the Norvina line, this is like their first eyeshadow palette launch in quite a while. So this is really exciting. This is, again, this is the outer carton, and on the back we have all of the directions, the shade names, everything like that. The inside of the palette is absolutely beautiful. I was definitely concerned that this was going to feel less luxe than their classic packaging, the velvety packaging, but it actually just seems more sleek. It does have this kind of quilted pattern on it, and it actually does feel very expensive. You have this really pretty detailing, and I absolutely love the pale pink detail as well. So this is part of their holiday release for 2021. And this palette actually includes 12 shades. It has 10 shadows and 2 blushes. The shadows are going to be a mix of mattes, metallics, and there are also 2 sparkling shades as well. I did see from Norvina that this is supposed to be an all-new formula. And I will also note this says it is made in the USA, and this is actually classified as a pressed pigment palette. Opening her up, I see that she's absolutely stunning. So you can see we have the 2 blush shades over here, and then you have the 10 pigments. So there is a warning on these shades: Claret, Deep Berry, Grapefruit, which is actually a blush, Honey, Mango, Peony, Primrose, Sparkling Amber, and Rouge. So pretty much this entire palette, except for the Rosewater shade, are not considered safe for the immediate eye area. So that's why this is considered a pressed pigment palette. So that's good to note. If that's something that bothers you, it does not bother me, but just something to mention. And one thing that is different from their original palettes as well is the pan sizes on these are actually significantly larger. So I believe each shade is 0.15 ounces, whereas in the original each shade is 0.02 ounces. So they're definitely larger. And to do a size for size comparison, I'm just pulling out my Soft Glam. So you can see the new one is significantly longer, but it's also a little more sleek and thin, so that's fine. And I really did enjoy this type of older packaging. I thought it was really pretty. I really liked it. It just always felt very luxe to me. However, I am pleasantly surprised at how much I like this packaging as well. I did not think I would like it as much as I do. And also of note is they don't seem to come with a brush anymore. So I'm not sure if this is like a permanent new packaging or if they're going to be going back to this. I don't know. But just something to note, this does not come with a brush. Let's just open her up. So I do already have most of my base done. So what I think I'm going to do is, let's just dip into these blushes. I'm not sure. So Grapefruit is like a soft pink right away. Powdery. Okay. Let's take a quick look. That's a really pretty blush shade though. That's very pretty. All right. And the shade Saddle is kind of like a terracotta. And I was originally thinking that Saddle would be perhaps like a bronzer, but honestly, I'm having my doubts because it just looks too deep. So I'm just gonna pop on some bronzer and then I'll be right back and use Grapefruit. Okay guys, so let's pop on some of the shade Grapefruit. Oh, okay. I will just say that the blush in particular, it's the only one I've touched so far, but the blush, it is a very soft shade, so don't go in too heavy-handed because I got a ton of kick up. But this is a beautiful blush shade. I really like it. However, when you see that much kick up, that typically means that the shades are going to blend quite well. I just find I went a little too ham on this side. I'm just gonna pat that down. I did have an incident off camera where I dropped my brand new palette and then tried to catch it, so she's not as pretty as I would like. This day is not going well. And I was originally thinking I really wanted to try out some of these deeper purples and things like that, but I think I might actually keep it pretty neutral for today. But I still want to get a good feel for the palette. So I'm going to take the shade Honey, which is the most basic, and I'm just going to pop that into the crease. I have already primed with my Milani eyeshadow primer, and then I just set it down with some powder. Okay, this is pigmented. Okay, I like that. Yeah, I didn't even tap into that too hard. And it's definitely blending out nicely. So it's definitely what I expected, in the sense that there was a lot of kick up, so I thought that maybe it's going to blend very easily. I was right about that. This is definitely behaving how I want it to. And it built up nicely. I'm still so annoyed. I went to reach for something and completely dropped my palette. Very disappointed in myself. Being dramatic, of course, but I think that's a really pretty transition. I think I'm going to take the shade Rouge, which is this one, and I'm going to do that on the outer and I think the inner corner too. I've been really into halo eye looks lately. I mean, that's always been a favorite of mine, but lately it's definitely even more so. That's also a really, really pretty color. So I just feel like it's been a hot minute since they've actually come out with a new palette. I know, I think it was 2019 when they released one after the other, and everyone was kind of like, okay, I'm fed up with ABH. Like, I feel like they had such a good thing going, and then they just started releasing so much, and I think 2019, and everyone kind of got sick of them, and then they kind of seemed to pull back last year, which is good, because I think they needed to. But it's still really exciting to see them back, because I've always been such a fan of their palettes. They just do good work. Whether it might not always feel like something earth-shattering and amazingly new, it's still usually a pretty good product. They know what they're doing when it comes to eyeshadows. And for me, that's a big thing. Eyeshadows got to be one of my favorite things. Okay, I think I'm going to go into Rose Water, and I'm just going to put that right in the center of the lid. Oh, pretty. That is a nice metallic. That is a really nice metallic. Okay. I'm just going to add a little bit extra rouge to that outer corner. I will say it is really important to note that these shades are so pigmented. Just for the sake of the video, I'm going to take a little bit of Mango, and I'm going to kind of buff around the outer edge a little bit, just to kind of blend that out a bit more, I think. These shades are all so pigmented. I think I might actually pop a little bit of Rose Water, so back into that shimmer. I think I'm going to do a little bit of that on the inner corner. See how it works with a brush as well. I got too excited and brought it up too high, but that's fine. I still think this is super, super pretty. Okay, let me pop on some mascara and we'll come back and talk about some of these shades. Okay guys, so this is the final look. I know I kept it very basic. I didn't even use a ton of shades, but I really just wanted to get an overall feel for this palette in general and kind of do a first impressions. So first impression, this is beautiful. I love, love, love the packaging. Let's take a closer look at some swatches. So I already showed you the blushes, but let's take a closer look. This first shade is Rose Water. Very, very pretty, and I will say it's also very soft to the touch. This next shade is Peony. Very, very beautiful. Very, very pretty. Metallic. It's almost got like a duochrome shift to it. Very pretty. Then we'll go into, I'm just all over the place, we'll go into Honey, which is a matte, and it's a very smooth, buttery matte. This is Rouge, which is also a smooth, buttery matte, and it is like a deep chocolate brown with kind of like a reddish, it's almost got like a reddish undertone to it. Next up is Sparkling Amber. I believe this is one of the sparkle shades. And it is very sparkly. It's a bit messy. I honestly think a lot of this palette is messy. Fire Opal is also very soft to the touch. And it looks a lot like Sparkling Amber when it's swatched out, just a little bit deeper. And the next shade is Primrose. So Primrose is like a matte with like a sequin glitter within it. So when you swatch it out, it's gorgeous. I definitely want to use that next. Typically with this type of shade, it's best to put it on in like a patting motion so that you don't lose the sparkle, but it didn't seem to, so I'm gonna see how it works with the brush, but it's still maybe best to do that patting motion. I'm actually getting a ton of fallout all over my desk from this palette. It is definitely a very powdery palette. So the next shade is Deep Berry, and this is also a matte, but it's definitely not as soft and buttery. It's swatched okay, but I don't really think it's swatched the very best. It's definitely a drier shade, but it does still look really pretty. It might apply beautifully to the eyes. Then we have Mango, which is pretty much what it describes. It's very much a beautiful peach. Beautiful peachy shade. And then lastly for the eyeshadows we have Claret. And I'm actually just going to do this one up here. So that one is also very buttery, but it is very, very soft. It's very, very pretty. I really like Claret. So all over my arm with these swatches, but this is what the palette looks like. These are very beautiful shades. I'm definitely interested in playing more with the pinks, with the purples. I definitely wanted to keep it neutral today just because I really wanted to test out their new formula. Okay, so now that we've tested out the palette, we've looked at some swatches, let's talk about my first impression. So I think this is a beautiful palette. The packaging, absolutely stunning. I'm very impressed with how the packaging turned out, and I do think you'll be able to keep it much cleaner than their typical velvet packaging, which is also a big plus. So opening this up, I will say I got this look done so quickly. So quickly. And to me, that is a reflection on the quality of the palette, because the shades were so easy to work with. They were so blendable. They were soft. And as a result, I was able to just blend things out really, really quickly and get it done. I wasn't trying to work quickly, but I was able to, which I really, really liked. That being said, these shades are very soft. There is a lot of kick up with these shades. So that is something to note. If a lot of kick up and fallout bothers you, you may not like this palette. That being said, even though I did have a lot of kick up and fallout in the palette, I did not have any fallout under my eyes. Now, I didn't use a ton of the shades today, so maybe I will find that later. Who knows? But for now, that is my first thought. Even when I took that metallic shade and I put it on the inner corner, I used a brush for that because I wanted to see how it would work, and there was still no fallout and it applied beautifully with a brush. So that really impressed me as well. Also, for the most part, the only shade that I have concerns about that I'll really have to test is Deep Berry, because all of the shades were so soft and buttery smooth, and I was really impressed with the way they swatched as well. And especially the Primrose shade, I was surprised that I was able to swatch it out and I still retained a lot of the glitter that's actually in the shade. Typically when you put that on or you swatch it out, you lose a lot of the glitter that is in that matte shade. That didn't happen. So I will have to let you guys know how that works when I apply it with a brush because I'm very curious. The blush shades are very, very pretty. The grapefruit shade is a really beautiful pinky blush. It's definitely the type of blush I would go for. It's definitely my speed. Saddle is not going to be a great blush for me. It's not great for my skin tone, but I'm happy to see it in here because I think it will be great on a lot of skin tones. And I will still be able to get use out of it as an eyeshadow. These are all the exact same formula, so they actually mentioned that you can actually use some of these shades on your face if you want to. I probably wouldn't, but if you can get away with that with your skin tone or just your makeup preferences in general, that is great. So this palette also retails for $68 Canadian, or I believe about $48 US. So it is definitely pricey, but that is definitely in line with her other palettes as well. Overall, I am very, very impressed. I do think swatching the shades between this palette and the older palette, these ones definitely, I think, feel a little bit softer in my opinion, but the formula is still excellent. Again, I was able to work super fast and I create a look I really, really, really love, so I'm very, very excited about that. I am going to keep playing with this. I'm definitely going to create more looks, see how they turn out, see my thoughts, but overall, I'm very, very happy, and this packaging is absolutely what my makeup dreams are made of. I love this baby pink, beautiful, sleek packaging. Absolutely love it. So overall, my first impression, I really love this palette. I'm very happy with it. I am glad I ultimately decided to pick it up because I was not sure, but overall, I think this is an amazing comeback palette for ABH if that's what they're doing. Very, very happy to have it in my collection. I can't wait to keep playing with it, and that's it for today. So I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope this was interesting. I hope this maybe answered some of your questions on this palette, but that is where we'll leave it for today. Thank you so very much for watching as always, and I will see you in my next one. Bye!